Om Sarashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmaracharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Good. Be seated, please. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavidyan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Very good. Welcome back. Welcome also to the many students attending this class online. We continue our study of the 23rd chapter of Uddhava Gita. And you remember that this chapter is like a little bit like Jnana Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. It's just full of very solid and profound Vedantic teachings. It also comes towards the end of the text. I think there's only one chapter after this. So it's a culmination of the spiritual wisdom found throughout the Uddhava Gita, but very heavily concentrated. Not heavy, but very concentrated here at the last section. When we met last, the topic was enlightenment. And today we begin a new topic, and that topic is the fundamental reality because of which everything exists. You know, we're talking about Vedanta when we use language like that, a fundamental reality because of which everything exists. We often use the Sanskrit term Brahman to talk about that reality. You won't be surprised if Sri Krishna, instead of using the word Brahman for that reality, he's going to use his own name for that reality. I think he deserves it, don't you think? Sorry for the little joke, but you get the context. Sometimes Sri Krishna refers to himself as an individual human avatara of Lord Vishnu, but here, when he refers to himself, he is referring to himself as that fundamental reality. Before we discuss fundamental reality, we should probably define real. And Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, has a simple but brilliant definition of real. By the way, simple, if it takes a paragraph to describe something, probably whoever is describing it doesn't have a clue, right? Because if you really know what's going on, you should be able to describe something succinctly, briefly. So in Advaita Vedanta, we don't have a paragraph-long definition of what is real. Trikala abaditam. We have a two-word. I have to count how many words are there. A two-word definition of satyam. Satyam means real. And the two words are trikala and abaditam. Actually, that's one word. It's a long compound. Anyway, who cares? Trikala abaditam satyam. That which is abaditam, non-negatable, trikala, in the three periods of time. Three periods of time are past, present, and future. So that which is non-negatable in the 3 periods of time, or suppose we use positive language, that which is non-negatable, that which existed in the 3 periods of time, that which existed before, that which exists now, and that which exists later. But notice before means not just in the last week or two, or last year or two, or last millennia or two. It means without beginning. So that whose existence is beginningless, and later means not just for the next week or month, it means for all time, endless. So that which is beginningless, anadi, and that which is endless, ananta. And of course, madhya, in the middle, also exists. That's our definition of real. That's helpful now as we enter into this discussion. Okay, we'll pick up the thread. And we have the longer meter here, which actually allows for more complex ideas to be presented in each verse. Yata hiranyam swakritam purastat. Yata hiranyam swakritam purastat. Paschacha sarvasya hiranmayasya. Paschacha sarvasya hiranmayasya. Tadeva madhye vyavaharyamanam. Tadeva madhye vyavaharyamanam. Nanapadesharaha ahamasya yadvata. Nanapadesharahamasya tadvata. Yatha, just as. And here we're going to see a metaphor that you've heard many times, but maybe haven't understand it as thoroughly as required. So, yatha, just as hiranyam, one of many words for gold, just as gold is made into, the context is gold is made into varieties of ornaments. So you have gold rings, you have gold earrings, you have gold nose pin, gold bangles, gold this, gold that, gold, of course, gold. Yeah. Anyway, nothing wrong. That's lovely. What a beautiful to have all these ornaments. So all that is made of gold. The point here is that gold, that hiranyam, is swakratam. It is its own nature, purastat, before being created before being molded into the jewelry, and paschacha, and after. So before the bangle is cast, it was gold. After the bangle is cast, it is gold. Or let's put it like this. Before the bangle is cast, it's gold. After the bangle is melted down, it's gold. That's really the correct way of understanding it. So before it's a bangle, it's gold. After it's a bangle, it's gold. And madhye, and it doesn't say madhye, but actually it does in the third line. Tadeva madhye in the third line. And in the middle, sarvasya hiranmayasya, it's the same hiranya. Everything, sarvasya, is the same gold. Before it's a bangle, it's gold. After it's no longer a bangle, it's gold. While it's a bangle, it's gold. How has the gold changed? You know, you're thinking, well, wait a minute. They add some, they make it from 24 karat into 22 karat, right? Okay, you mix something in there. How does that affect the gold? Gold is still gold. The gold atoms are still inside there. They haven't changed one bit. So you can add anything, gold remains gold. You see where this discussion is going. So there is an underlying reality because of which these bangles and other ornaments exist. And this is a very simple way, and as I said before, there's something good about simple. This is a very simple way of describing an amazing vision of the ancient rishis, a vision, an understanding that you do not generally find in other religious traditions, and that is that God, the so-called creator, we'll say Ishvara, is present in and through the creation as the fundamental reality because of which everything exists. This chair exists because of Ishvara. This body exists because of Ishvara. Everything exists because of Ishvara. What other religious tradition says that? I think it's unique. Certainly the biblical traditions don't teach that. Buddhism doesn't teach that. Jainism, I don't think, teaches that either. So it looks to be unique to this Hindu tradition, that understanding everything, we'll say, is Ishvara Maya. Everything is made of Ishvara, just as all these ornaments are made of gold. Everything in the world is made of Ishvara, so to speak. But vyavahāryamanam nana apadeshaihi. Apadesha, videsha. Apadesha, okay. So these things are vyavahāryamanam. They're described usually vyapadesha, that's why. So nana apadesha, usually vyapadesha. So described with various expressions. Gold in the form of a bangle. If there's a bangle laying on the dresser and you want to wear it, you don't say, "Give me the gold, please." You don't say that. You say, "Give me the bangle." So it is vyavahāryamanam. It is referred to nana vyapadesha, with various names, with various terms. So just as gold can be called a bangle, can be called an earring, can be called a necklace, whatever, in the same way, Ishvara can be called a chair. Doesn't that sound silly? When you say that the bangle, when you say the bangle is gold, it's a statement of fact. When you say the chair is Ishvara, it's a statement of fact. The bangle is made of gold, undeniable. This chair is made of Ishvara. Now, of course, it's a metaphor, so any metaphor can be taken too far and it doesn't work. So you can do a chemical analysis of the gold in the bangle and find out if it's 22 karat or 18 karat or whatever it is. It's easy to do that kind of analysis. Can you do that kind of analysis on this chair to find out, is it 24 karat Brahman or 22 karat? I'm sorry, I'm in a silly mood today, but you get the point. That kind of analysis of the gold makes sense, but we're not talking about worldly substances here. We're talking about a fundamental reality. When we use that word, fundamental, we put it outside, we deliberately put it outside the scope of science, outside the scope of worldly observation, outside the scope of worldly things. So a fundamental reality which can't be analyzed like gold. So, and then Sri Krishna concludes here, aham asya tadvata. He says, aham, I. And he uses that first person pronoun, I am tadvat, I am like that, I am like the gold, asya, for the entire creation. Like gold gives existence to various ornaments, pieces of jewelry, in the same way, Ishvara, who Sri Krishna says me. So Ishvara as Sri Krishna is the underlying reality because of which everything exists. Like ornaments exist because of gold, the universe exists because of Ishvara, because of Krishna. I'd like to point something out here, a very common misunderstanding of Advaita Vedanta. The most common insult, and it's a deliberate insult hurled, so to speak, at Advaita Vedanta, is that Advaita Vedanta teaches that the world is an illusion. And it's said as a deliberate insult, and it's incorrect. Most insults are incorrect, right? You design an insult to have an effect. So to imply, to say that Advaita Vedanta teaches that the world is an illusion is both insulting and incorrect. Both. Why? Insulting, obvious. By the way, this insult, anyway, we'll leave that aside. So it is insulting and it is incorrect. Incorrect, why? That bangle is an illusion. It's made of gold. How can it be an illusion? That's $500,000 worth of gold. That's no illusion. That's so many grams of gold. So you wouldn't call that an illusion, then why call the world an illusion? The bangle is made of gold. The universe has Ishvara, or Krishna, as its underlying reality. This insult goes on. They say that Vedanta is Mayavada, that Vedanta says everything is Maya, Mayika. That bangle? You can call it what you want. It's still made of gold. You can call the universe what it is. It's still made of Ishvara. Why accuse Vedanta of being Mayavada? It's Ishvaravada, right? Vedanta doesn't say all of this is Maya. It ultimately says all this is Ishvara. Maya is something a little tricky to understand. That's not our topic here. But ultimately, just as the bangle is gold, it's made of gold. Hiranya Maya, made of gold. In the same way, the universe is Ishvara Maya. It's made of Ishvara. So these names are, these insults are really inappropriate. Or even the word mithya. So mithya is a technical term used in Advaita Vedanta. It's also used in some vernacular languages, and it usually means something useless, worthless, not having value is mithya. But as a technical term used in Vedanta, mithya means that which exists because of something else. The bangle exists because of something else, gold. The universe exists because of something else, Brahman, or in this case, Krishna. So let's just understand these words. Like, first of all, the word illusion is, it's wrong. It's simply wrong. The words mithya and maya have very deep meanings which have to be properly understood, but none of it can detract from the fact that we live in a universe made of Ishvara. Ishvara Maya. All right. Then, next. Huh, this isn't working. You can click the button for me. Did the focus get lost? I think you'll need to redo the focus. It was working before. Naturally, whatever works before stops working during class, right? Go figure. Suresh and I, at the end of the prior session, we checked this out, and it was working just fine. So go figure why it's not working now. All right. This is. Try again. This is, by the way, this is also Ishvara. In fact, if there's any Maya, this is it. No? What is going on here? Anyway, let me take a look at it. Okay. It's really messed up. Just refund. So this is the file. This is the display. Put the focus there. So the focus was concerned on. So yeah, so this somehow got changed. So this is the file, and this is the display version. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. This is a little sophisticated stuff, so not surprising if we have problems now and then. All right. So, continuing. Vijnanametat trayavastamanga Vijnanametat trayavastamanga Gunatrayam karana karya kartra Gunatrayam karanam karya kartra Samanvayane Samanvayena yatirekataścha Samanvayena yatirekataścha Yenaiva turyena tadeva satyam Yadhe Yena tadeva satyam. All right. So, just to introduce this, this next verse. Prior verse, we talked about Brahman, or Ishvara, or Krishna in this case, being the underlying reality because of which everything exists. What about the reality because of which you exist? Well, the reality because of which your body exists is kind of the same as the reality because of which the chair exists. The reality because of which your mind and faculties exist is a reality because of which all the intelligence of the universe exists. So it's easy to trace the reality of your body and mind and senses. Is all of this exists because of the same Ishvara, just as the universe is Ishvara Maya, your body, mind, and senses being part of the universe are Ishvara Maya. But there's something left out here, and that is your essence as a conscious being, independent of your body, mind, and senses. The essence we call Atma, Satchidananda Atma, your essence as pure consciousness, the consciousness which is present right now in this experience as your essential nature. What about that consciousness? Where did it come from? Notice so far our discussion has treated only the world of physical matter and the world of non-physical stuff. But what about consciousness? The essence of who you are, and that's what's treated here. Now remember, our definition of real is that which continually exists, doesn't come into existence, doesn't go out of existence, doesn't undergo change of any form whatsoever. By the way, this is an implication. When you say something exists before, during, and after, it equally says it is unchanging. Because this is a little bit of logic, we'll need a little bit of logic for this verse. Anything that changes ceases to be what it used to be. So change is the end of a prior state of existence and the beginning of a new state of existence. But that which has no beginning or end, that which is anadi and ananta, is necessarily changeless. Your consciousness is changeless. And this is one of the most unintuitive observations found anywhere. Your consciousness is changeless. Is that how it seems ordinarily? It seems like it's constantly changing. Every moment. And day to day, how about these ups and downs you encounter? And not just day to day, moment to moment. What you experience changes. So we wonder then, how can this consciousness be real if our experiences are constantly changing? Okay. So here, Sri Krishna says, Vijnanam etat tri avastham anga. Anga, oh dear one, Sri Krishna addresses Uddhava. Anga, dear one. Etat vijnanam. Here, vijnanam means mind and experience. Vijnanam, take it as experience, is good. Vijnanam, experience, etat vijnanam, this experience you're having right now, Sri Krishna says, tri avastham. It has 3 states. Your experience has 3 states, well known to any student of Vedanta: waking, dream, and deep sleep, right? Jagrat, swapna, and sushupti, the Sanskrit terms we like to use. So definitely experience has 3 states: waking, dream, and sleep. Not only that, but experience is trigunam, has 3 gunas: sattva, rajas, tamas. Sometimes you're in a very sattvika state, perhaps right now. Other times, rajas, when you're driving home. Tamas, tonight when you're sleepy. So anyway, you have different states. And also, experience has karana, karya, and kartra. For any experience, there is karana, cause, like mind and brain. There is karya, effects, like emotions and ideas. And there's also kartra, an agent, agency involved, like ego. I did it. So all of this is associated with your experience. All of it is constantly changing. So where is reality? If reality is what doesn't change, then where is the unchanging bit, as it were? Well, we said bangle was made of gold. What are experiences made of? This is a fascinating question. We can say bangles are made of gold. What are experiences made of? What is the content of experience? And the key here is experience is present in your consciousness. Is it not? If experience were not in your consciousness, would you experience it? Further, where would it be? It doesn't make any sense. So experience is in your consciousness, like bangle is in gold or on gold. Look at this. And this is pure Vedanta taught in a very simple way. The nama and rupa, the name and form of bangle gets impressed upon gold. And notice gold remains unchanged, but there's now gold without nama-rupa, there's gold with nama-rupa. Nama-rupa, name and form. So if we take nama-rupa, like bangle, and put it on gold, we can then say that the content of the bangle is gold. Experience is nama-rupa. What you experience right now. Whatever you see around you, nama-rupa. And all of this nama-rupa is on consciousness. Like nama-rupa of a bangle is on gold, nama-rupa of this experience right now is on, so to speak, consciousness or in consciousness, which means the content of a bangle is gold, the content of this experience is, that's simple. The content of the bangle is gold, the content of this experience is consciousness. Notice, nama-rupa is continually changing. The bangle isn't a very good example of that, but if you want, every day you can melt down your bangle and make it into something else. If you want to do that, you can do that. The point is that the nama-rupa goes on changing. Gold doesn't change. In the same way, in experience, nama-rupa changes rapidly. Consciousness doesn't. Gold doesn't change. Consciousness doesn't change. The unchanging substratum, because of which your changing thoughts, emotions, and perceptions exist, that non-changing substratum is consciousness. Of course, Sri Krishna says, he really likes, I don't know, he's not an egotist, but he says, yeah, I am that consciousness. He doesn't say with egotism, he says because he looks at himself as a fundamental reality because of which everything exists. You see the world? Yup, that's me. Are you aware of your experiences? Yup, that consciousness is me. And without any sense of pride. Now, how to discern unchanging consciousness in the midst of all of these changing experiences? It's actually a big issue. It's not easy. And in Advaita Vedanta, there are many different prakriyas. Prakriya is a teaching methodology. There are many different, I don't know of a better word, prakriya, teaching methodologies. Many of them, many different ones are used to help you discern the unchanging conscious reality because of which all your changing experiences are known to you. And one of those many prakriyas, one of those many teaching methodologies is a bit of logic. Here's logic comes back again. A bit of logic called Anvaya Vyatireka. You may not have heard that term before unless you're a Vedanta geek like me. Any Vedanta geek, no, is that a term? It is now. Any Vedanta geek knows this term, this logical method called Anvaya Vyatireka. And Anvaya Vyatireka is obviously what's referred to in the next line. Some is added onto Anvaya, so some Anvayena, with the logical technique of Anvaya Vyatireka cha, and with the logical device of Vyatireka, you can discern that in addition to all this stuff that's changing, there's something else. So there are three states that are changing. And Sri Krishna is going to say in the last line, but there's a fourth that doesn't change. Set that aside. Actually, let's see that first. It'll make more sense. So in addition to the three things that are changing, in fact, what are changing? Not only the three states, waking, dream, and sleep, but the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Sometimes sattva is more, sometimes rajas, sometimes tamas. Also karana, karya. Sometimes cause is prevalent, sometimes effect is prevalent, sometimes agent. Anyway, everything in our experience goes on changing. Sri Krishna has characterized our experience by these threes, and then in the last line he concludes that in addition to these threes, yena eva, those threes exist because of turyena, because of a fourth. There is a fourth which is unchanging, because of which those three exist. And tadeva, that fourth indeed, is satyam, real. Real meaning unchanging. Real meaning, call it Brahman, call it Krishna. It is that fundamental reality that never changes, whether it's the reality because of which the cosmos exists or the reality because of which your experiences exist. It is the same one unchanging reality. And how is it understood? Now our tricky part of the logic in the third line. It's understood through anvaya and vyatireka. These terms really don't translate very well. Anvaya means something that remains is indicated through a logical process of anvaya, and something that goes away is indicated through the process of vyatireka. Let's go back to the gold bangle. Applying anvaya, the bangle has gold in it. The earring has gold in it. The necklace has gold in it. So there's this, boy, I just remembered the English translation of anvaya, and you'll understand why I didn't use it. Because anvaya is described as invariable concomitance. How's that? What does that even mean? Anyway, in logic, these technical terms come up, and you don't need to worry about it here. If we're studying logic, you need to understand it very thoroughly. But to understand Sri Krishna, that which is always present. That's all it means. Anvaya, that which is always present. Gold is present in the bangles. Gold is present in the earrings. Gold is present in the necklace. Gold is always present. But bangles aren't always present. If you melt down the bangles and make earrings, then bangle went away, now you have earrings. If you melt down the earrings and make a necklace, then earrings have gone away. So that which doesn't have that invariable concomitance is the variable part, that which comes and goes, vyatireka. It's not that complicated. So anvaya is a logical method of finding out what is always present. Vyatireka is a way of finding out what is not always present, what is transient. And now if you apply that to your experience, what is not always present is whatever you're experiencing right now. When you leave this lecture hall, will you experience Swami Tadatmananda? No, and all your friends here. That experience comes to an end. Everything about our experience goes on changing. So all the details of your experience goes on changing, but there's something about your experience that doesn't change. Zanvaya. And what is unchanging about your experience? Right now, Swami Tadatmananda is known. This paper is known. This chair is known. This table is known. All of these things are present in your experience right now. What is the same and unchanging among these? Did you get it? It's subtle. Did you get it? Swami Tadatmananda is known. Chair is known. Table is known. What is always present is knownness. Knownness is consciousness. Consciousness is present in every experience as the knownness of that experience. Again, for Vedanta geeks, this is a very important statement. Consciousness is present in every experience as the knownness of that experience. By the way, I didn't make that up. Don't think that Swamiji is making up all these profound things. How could you make anything up when you have such brilliant teachings? I can't do better than that. What I just gave you is a paraphrase of a verse in the Kena Upanishad. So I didn't make it up. So here's the point. What is real, what is unchanging about your experience is consciousness. Sri Krishna calls that the fourth, and it is the same reality. The underlying reality because of which the cosmos exists is the same reality because of which your experiences exist. There's a statement attributed to a Western sage, I don't know whom, but the statement goes, and the statement can be interpreted in so many ways, but it shows a universal principle. The statement, many of you heard it, as above, so below. As above, so below. And what that statement shows is a similarity between the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, you, the one sitting in your chair. As above, so below. The macrocosm, the universe exists because of a fundamental reality. As above, so below. You exist because of a fundamental reality, and it is the same fundamental reality. Okay, let us see one more verse. Na yat purastaruta yanna paschat, na yat purastaruta yanna paschat, madhye chatanna vyapadesha matram, madhye chatanna vyapadesha matram, bhutam prasiddham chaparena yadyata, bhutam prasiddhyam chaparena yadyata, Tadeva tatsyariti me manisha, Tadeva yatsyariti me manisha. All right. So, this is Sri Krishna's logic. Logic light, we'll call it, which means he doesn't go very deep, but it is use of Vedantic logic. He says, Yat purastat na nasti. That which didn't exist before, that which was non-existent before, and yat na paschat, that which doesn't exist later, that which didn't exist before, and that which didn't exist now. That which didn't exist before and that which won't exist in the future. He says, madhyecha tan na. He says, in the middle, I just comment. There is a verse in Gaudapada's Karika, his famous commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad, which says exactly this. That, and let me paraphrase it, both the Karika verse and this. The Karika verse was written by Gaudapada, This verse is the words of Sri Krishna. They say exactly the same thing. That which didn't exist before and won't exist in the future doesn't really exist right now. And this needs to be understood. So we'll go back to our bangle. I should wear bangles, then I would have a good example. Then I'd have a handy example to share with you. So that bangle didn't exist before, right? Before it was molded. And one day that bangle will be melted down and it'll no longer exist as a bangle. So definitely that bangle, na purastat, didn't exist before, na paschat, and won't exist in the future. But what about right now? Well, here's the thing, and this is the Vedantic logic. Vedanta is bold enough to say, well, if it didn't really exist before, and it won't really exist in the future, how can you say it really exists right now? Notice I added that adjective. Does that bangle really exist right now? What is our definition of real? Trikala Badhitam. But now look at that which means unchanging, right? Unchanging. So that bangle, is that bangle really unchanging? Looks like it. I mean, it's just hanging there on my wrist. Doesn't seem to be changing it. Suppose we could take a stop-action video of that bangle over a period of 1,000,000 years. What would you watch? Would that bangle not, anything physical starts to decay. If you took a picture of a rock over 1,000,000 years, you would see the rock decay. Don't think it's permanent. You know better. Everything physical is subject to decay. Just some things decay more rapidly, and other things decay more slowly. So if a rock will decay over time, by the way, why are mountains rounded? Right? That's what happens. So if rocks are subject to decay, then that bangle is subject to decay. Anything that's subject to decay is changing. Anything that's changing is not real. You got it. This is Vedanta's logic. That which didn't exist before and won't exist in the future is not unchanging. Notice a double negative. This is logic. Be ready for it. It is not unchanging. If it's not unchanging in the past and future, it is not unchanging now. All right. By the way, you had a grammar teacher tell you never use double negatives? In Sanskrit and in logic, they're used all the time. We need to use them properly, understand them properly. Okay, so that which didn't exist before, won't exist in the future, everything is changing even in the present moment. Everything is changing, therefore not absolutely real. That's true about my bangle. Looks nice, don't you think? Sorry, I'm a little silly today. So, everything is changing, not just my bangle, but thoughts as well. Your experience right now is constantly changing. Everything in the world, constantly changing. Namarupa. Everything you experience, constantly changing. Namarupa. The reality because of which the universe exists is not changing. Unchanging fundamental reality. And the reality because of which your experiences are known to you is unchanging consciousness. And those two unchanging realities are not two. One unchanging reality gives existence to the universe and gives existence to you as pure consciousness. So Sri Krishna now is ready to conclude. he says, bhutam prasiddham cha, anything that is made, bhutam, and prasiddham, you make it and you see it, like my bangle. You make it and you see it, and it is parena yadyat. And yadyat, anything that is made parena, of something else. Anything that is made of something else, tadeva tatsyat. He says that is, how did I translate that? That is tatsyat, that is tatsyat, that is like that. It means what? That is name and form. And here we discern this Vedantic truth. Usually, bangle is something that we use so often, but you've probably seen me use this pot more often, that this pot is nama-rupa, clay is metaphorically the underlying reality because of which it exists. This pot is mere nama-rupa in the sense that it won't always be pot. There was a time when it wasn't pot. There will be another time in the future when it's no longer pot, but the clay will remain. This is such a fundamental Vedantic perspective, and it leads to it's subtle and not exactly obvious, and then it leads to confusion. So I guess this is a pet peeve for me, that illusion thing. So I'm back on my illusion thing. This pot is an illusion? Can you put, if it's actually a flower pot, can you put a plant in an illusory flower pot? No, yeah, somebody's going to say, yes, Swamiji, you can put an illusory plant give me a break, all right. You get the point. This is not an illusion. Did Sri Krishna use the word illusion here? He didn't. He said it's made of something else. It's not, to use my guru's kind of language, it's not independently existing. The pot has no independent existence. Clay has independent existence in this metaphor. So we differentiate between dependent existence. We use the word mithya for that dependent existence of the pot, nama-rupa. And then we have independent existence. We use the word satyam for that independent existence represented here by the clay. So let's use that language. It's powerful language if we understand it correctly. The world is mithya. Doesn't mean illusion, doesn't mean useless. It means it has dependent existence. The universe is not independently existent, and it exists depending on a fundamental reality. That fundamental reality being Brahman or being Krishna, call it what you want. It is an unchanging fundamental reality because of which the universe exists. It is the same unchanging, let's actually make it separate. Your experience. The world is nama-rupa, your experience is nama-rupa. The world is constantly changing, your experience is constantly changing. The constantly changing world exists dependent on an underlying reality. Your constantly changing experiences exist dependent on an unchanging fundamental reality. You got it. And this, by the way, is some of the most profound teachings of Advaita Vedanta. And notice words like illusion have no place in this discussion. This is, he says, iti me manisha. Sri Krishna, to emphasize this to Uddhava, says, iti, thus, all of this is me manisha. This is my understanding. So you're going to argue with Sri Krishna? Uddhava's not going to argue with him. I don't think any of us are going to argue with him. So this is the kind of wisdom taught in this Uddhava Gita by Sri Krishna. Same wisdom is taught in the Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna. Same wisdom is taught by the great rishis in the Upanishads. This is the wisdom of Vedanta. And we just went through something extremely profound, and you understood every word of that, and you understood because Sri Krishna's mode of explanation here, using metaphors, is so nice. It just invites you to understand. So nice that we could see that today. All right. Announcements. Tomorrow, Sunday, we have our Vedanta class at 10 o'clock, followed by satsang, question and answer, at 11. Please come and join us. Also, long ago I announced that we were restarting our musical meditation sessions. The next session was scheduled for this coming Wednesday. Unfortunately, we won't be able to meet, so there will not be a musical meditation this Wednesday. We'll conclude with our prayers. I think I'll manage. Let's try. Yeah. No problem. I spoke too soon. Yeah. All right. We'll do this. Thank you. Om Gananahan Tva Ganapatigam Avamahe Gaving Gavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatahana Shranvan Utabasida Sadhanam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha Ishvaro Gururhatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramhanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat.